All right, welcome into another day of our daily Devos in the Psalms. Pastor Rick here. And we are jumping into Psalm 74. Psalm 74, Maskil of Asaph, a prayer for Israel. Verse 1, why have you rejected us forever, God? Why does your anger burn against the sheep of your pasture? Remember your congregation, which you purchased long ago and redeemed as the tribe of your own possession. I think that's pretty powerful language right there. Remember your congregation, which you purchased long ago. To know, like, that's true of us too. God's purchased us back by the price tag, really, of the blood of His Son. And Easter Sunday coming up, celebrating the resurrection. That's really where the payment was made. The payment was made on the cross, and then really stirred up some stuff at the resurrection. So purchased long ago and redeemed as the tribe of your own possession. So that whole redemption to buy back. So remember Mount Zion, where you dwell. Make your way to the perpetual ruins, to all that the enemy has destroyed in the sanctuary. Your adversaries roared in the meeting place where you met with us. And they set up their emblems and signs. It was like men in a thicket of trees wielding axes and smashing all the carvings with hatchets and picks. They set your sanctuary on fire. They utterly desecrated the dwelling place of your name, and they said in their hearts, let's oppress them relentlessly. They burned every place throughout the land where God met with us. There are no signs for us to see. There's no longer a prophet, and none of us knows how long this will last. And that, I think, right there is a key part of the level of frustration or like anger, like all the different kinds of emotions you can kind of pick up from this prayer so far. None of us knows how long this will last. And that's really true of any trial, any situation, even if it's kind of disciplinary action, because a lot of what Israel experienced going into exile and was a result of their own lack of faithfulness towards God, their lack of obedience to God's commands. And so, but you get into the thick of it, you get into the middle of the journey. I remember going over a really, really long bridge one time, and you get to the middle of the bridge and you can't really see the land on the other side, and you couldn't really see the land behind you. And because the bridge was so long, and I feel like that kind of a situation where you've gone far enough that you can't really see where you came from, and you can't see the end, you can't see the destination yet. And so that can breed an extra level of anxiety or hopelessness that can kind of creep in. Also kind of like feeling like you've been forgotten, feeling like you've been abandoned. And so that just really struck me as I was reading it. I was like, man, that is relatable. That's relatable, getting to a situation where you're like, I don't know how long this is going to last. And then the accompanying thought that comes with that most of the time is, I don't know how long I can take this. I don't know how long this is going to last, and I don't know how long I can take this. Again, I think that's looking at our own human strength, looking at our own situation. And so let's see. The other thing that I was wanting to kind of point out is, is as the psalmist goes through here and says that, you purchased this long ago and you redeemed the tribe. Reminding God of what He has done, reminding God of who He is, and then kind of informing God of what's going on. It's like God knows what's going on. He hasn't closed His eyes. He hasn't gone to sleep. But it's the fact that God really wants relationship with us. And so He wants us to process things with Him. And so I think it's a really powerful example for us to remember that our prayers don't have to be all neat and buttoned up, that God can handle our frustration. God can handle our questions. God can handle your anger, because he knows what's going on, and he knows our nature. He knows that we are just dust, that we are, frail and limited in our perspective and our power. And so a lot of times, when the psalmist is reminding God of who he is and the promises that he's made, it's like God didn't forget. God's not a man that he should lie. God's going to fulfill all of his promises. But it's almost what happens in those situations is the psalmist is reminded. The psalmist is able to get everything kind of straight in his head. So it comes across like he's trying to remind God of who God is and who he's supposed to be, and promises that he's supposed to fulfill. But really, I think that it's more about the psalmist being reminded, being freshly committed to, and on and on and on. And so and none of us knows how long it will last. So verse 10, God, how long will the enemy mock? Will the foe insult your name forever? Why do you hold back your hand? Stretch out your right hand and destroy them. God, my King, is from ancient times, performing saving acts on the earth. So here's again talking about who God is and what he's done. You divided the sea with your strength. You smashed the heads of the sea monsters in the water. You crushed the heads of Leviathan. You fed him to the creatures of the desert. You opened up springs and streams. You dried up ever-flowing rivers. So obviously you divided the sea with your strength. Good chance they're referring to the parting of the Red Sea there. That would make sense for their history. And again, what a huge marker point to remind God about, to remind yourself about, that you're in a situation where on one side you have the fearsome army of the Egyptians ready to kill you, or at the very least capture you and take you back as their slaves once again. On the other side, you have the Red Sea completely impassable. So you're stuck in a situation where there's literally no hope, no options. You're not fit for war at that point. And so that's definitely, none of us knows how long this will last. And none of us knows that there's any potential of being able to come out of this situation. But you, God, divided the sea with your strength, reminding yourself of the strength and power and authority of God in the midst of a situation that seems incredibly hopeless. You smashed the heads of the sea monsters in the water, crushed the heads of the Leviathan. So obviously the Leviathan is mentioned a couple times in the Bible, and not a lot of clarity as to what it is. It could be giant whales. Like, whales are huge, and to people long ago, I'm sure there was a good bit of mystery surrounding what creatures were in the water, especially super deep. And I'm me personally not super familiar with any technologies that they may or may not have had to have like a deeper understanding of what was deeper. But there was some references in some Canaanite mythology that actually tied in the whole Leviathan piece with actually the concept of chaos. And so because Psalms obviously they are not just informational, they're poetical, right? So there's imagery, there's symbolism, there's it's trying to move you emotionally and connect you to something. And so you crush the heads of Leviathan, could possibly have a meaning behind it of you crushed all things chaos. You brought peace where there was nothing but chaos, and fed him to the creatures of the desert. So again, it's important, I think, not to get so hung up on what is the Leviathan, don't totally know. And the Bible leaves it a little bit obscure. So we won't stress about it today. But so you opened up springs and streams, and you dried up ever-flowing rivers. Again, they crossed the Jordan River, and he had cut off the flow of the Jordan River so that they walked over on dry land. And so again, just recalling, restating things that God had done in the past to build their confidence for their present and their future. The day is yours and also the night. You established the moon and the sun. You set all the boundaries of the earth, and you made summer and winter. Here again, just stating how big God is, how powerful, how really everything comes from him, how his dominion extends over everything that you can see, because it's so critical that we remind ourselves who we're talking to. It's not just another man. It's not just another, another party in the situation. No, he's the God of the universe. He created everything. Nothing's too difficult for him. Nothing's beyond his grasp. Nothing is too difficult for him. Remember this: the enemy has mocked the Lord, and a foolish people has insulted your name. Do not give to beasts the life of your dove. Do not, and so the dove obviously is often a picture of the Holy Spirit. So don't give to beasts the life of your dove, and do not forget the lives of your poor people forever. Consider the covenant, Lord. And I think that's a really powerful statement right there. God is a covenant keeping God. And so here he's reminding God, but I think also simultaneously reminding himself, consider the covenant, God. You said that you were going to be with us forever, that you were going to keep us forever, that you were going to establish us forever. And what's going on? Like, it doesn't look like that's happening, God. Because the dark places of the land are full of violence. Don't let the oppressed turn away in shame. Let the poor and needy praise your name. Rise up, God. Champion your cause. Come to action, Lord. Move on our behalf, Lord. Lord, I can't see the end. I don't know what's going on, but I'm crying out to you, Lord. Do something in this situation. Remember the insults that fools bring against you all day long, and do not forget the clamor of your adversaries, the tumult of your opponents that goes up constantly. So just, God, look at the situation, Lord. Be moved by it, God. I'm hurting here. I don't know what's going on, but I know that you're the creator of heaven and earth. I know that you're above all things. I know that you are a covenant-keeping God. Just going through, taking stock of who he is, his goodness, his faithfulness, and knowing that we can trust him to take good care of us and to be a God of justice. And so let's just remember as we cry out to the Lord, one, that we're honest, two, that we remind ourselves of who God is, that we remind ourselves of what he has done, and that we then stake ourselves to the truth of God being true in the future, right? Because he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's faithful, he's good, and he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop being good. He's not going to stop being faithful. So we can trust him, we can believe in him, and these are the things that we need when we can't see the other end of the bridge, when we can't see the end of this situation that we're going through, and we can't tell from natural circumstances if we have any hope. So with that, big hearty God bless you. Hope you have a wonderful day today, and I'll see you tomorrow.